My beloved child, there are moments in life when everything seems silent. The prayers you whispered appear unanswered. The dreams you carried for years seem farther away than ever. You wake up each morning hoping today will be different, only to find yourself facing the same struggles, the same worries, and the same unanswered questions. Yet what if I told you that the moment you feel most discouraged is often the moment you are closest to your breakthrough? Many people believe miracles arrive with loud announcements and dramatic signs. They expect the heavens to open and immediate answers to fall into their hands. But that is not usually how I work. Before a seed becomes a tree, it remains hidden beneath the soil. Before dawn breaks, the night reaches its darkest hour. Before a child is born, labor pains increase. And before a breakthrough arrives, there is often a season that feels like nothing is happening at all. You have been standing in such a season. You have wondered if your efforts matter. You have questioned whether your prayers have reached heaven. You have asked yourself why others seem to move forward while you remain waiting. But I want you to understand something important. Waiting is not the same as being forgotten. Silence is not the same as abandonment. Delay is not the same as denial. There are things happening behind the scenes that you cannot yet see. While you focus on closed doors, I am preparing new pathways. While you worry about what has not happened, I am arranging what needs to happen first. While you count the days, I am working through details that only eternity can fully understand. You see a single chapter. I see the entire story. You see today's disappointment. I see tomorrow's victory. You see obstacles. I see opportunities hidden within them. That is why you must not lose heart. Too many people walk away moments before their answer arrives. They stop praying one day before the breakthrough. They surrender one step before the finish line. They abandon hope right before the miracle becomes visible. Do not become one of them. Think about how many times in history victory appeared impossible just before it happened. The farmer does not dig up the seed every day to check whether it is growing. The builder does not abandon the house because the foundation takes time. The athlete does not quit training because results are slow. Growth often happens invisibly before it becomes visible. And the same is true for your life. What you call delay may actually be preparation. What you call frustration may actually be protection. What you call a closed door may actually be guidance toward a better destination. My child, there are things you wanted that would have harmed you had you received them too early. There are relationships you cried over losing that would have distracted you from your purpose. There are opportunities you missed that would have led you away from the future I planned for you. You judged those moments as failures. Heaven saw them as protection. You called them setbacks. I called them redirections. One day you will look back and understand why certain doors remained closed. One day you will see that what seemed unfair was actually an act of mercy. One day you will realize that I was saving you from battles you never knew existed. For now, trust me. Trust me when the road feels uncertain. Trust me when progress seems slow. Trust me when answers do not come immediately. Trust me when your emotions tell you to give up. Because your emotions can change every hour, but my promises remain forever. I know you have grown tired. I know there were moments when you smiled in public while carrying heavy burdens in private. I know there were nights when you questioned whether anyone truly understood what you were facing. I know the silent tears. I know the hidden fears. I know the battles no one else sees. And I have not ignored any of them. Every tear has been seen. Every prayer has been heard. Every act of faith has been recorded. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been forgotten. Nothing has escaped my attention. The enemy wants you to believe that your situation will never change. He wants you to focus on everything that is wrong. He wants you to measure your future by your current circumstances. But your future is not determined by your circumstances. It is determined by my purpose. And my purpose is greater than any obstacle standing before you. Do not allow temporary struggles to convince you that permanent defeat is coming. Storms do not last forever. Winter does not remain forever. Night does not last forever. And neither will the season you are currently facing. A new chapter is approaching. A new opportunity is approaching. A new season is approaching. But before it arrives, you must choose something. You must choose faith over fear, hope over despair, trust over doubt, courage over hesitation. Because the greatest battles are often won before circumstances change. They are won in the heart. When you decide to keep believing. When you decide to keep moving. When you decide to keep trusting even when evidence is limited. That is where victory begins. Remember this. The miracle often starts before you can see it. The answer often begins before you recognize it. The breakthrough often arrives quietly before it becomes obvious. Do not judge your future by today's appearance. Many things are happening beneath the surface. The roots are growing. The foundation is strengthening. The preparation is taking place. And when the time is right, what has been hidden will become visible. The door will open. The path will become clear. The blessing will arrive. And you will realize that I was working all along. So do not quit now. Do not stop believing now. Do not walk away now. You are closer than you think. The story is not over. The best chapter has not yet been written. And the same God who carried you this far will carry you through everything that comes next. A beloved child, there is another truth I need you to understand tonight. Sometimes the hardest part of faith is not believing that I exist. It is believing that I still have a plan for you personally. You see other people receiving opportunities, healing, restoration, and breakthrough. You hear testimonies and wonder quietly in your heart, Lord, when will it be my turn? And because the waiting has been long, disappointment has tried to settle into your spirit like a heavy fog. But hear me clearly, you have not been forgotten in the crowd. I do not bless people by lottery. I do not choose some to love and others to overlook. I know your name. I know your story. I know the details of your life that no one else fully understands. I know the responsibilities you carry. I know the prayers you have repeated for years. I know the promises you are afraid to believe again because disappointment hurt too deeply before. And still I say to you, hope again. Not because life has been easy. Not because every answer will come tomorrow, but because I am still writing your story. Too many people let past disappointment become a prophecy over their future. They say, "It never worked before, so it probably never will." They stop expecting good things. They lower their hopes to protect themselves from pain. But hopelessness is not wisdom. It is exhaustion speaking. And exhaustion can make even strong people forget what is possible. That is why you must guard your heart carefully in this season. Do not let bitterness take root. Do not let comparison steal your peace. Do not let delay convince you that destiny has passed you by. Your timeline is not identical to someone else's timeline. A fruit tree and an oak tree do not grow at the same speed, yet both fulfill their purpose in the right season. You are not behind. You are in process. There are lessons being formed in you that success alone could never teach. Patience is being formed. Character is being formed. Wisdom is being formed. Compassion is being formed. Dependence on me is being formed. And those things will sustain the blessing when it arrives. Because a blessing received without preparation can become a burden. That is why I prepare people before I elevate them. Think of Joseph in prison before the palace. Think of David in the wilderness before the throne. Think of Moses in obscurity before leadership. Their waiting was not meaningless. It was preparation. And your waiting is not meaningless either. I know you want immediate answers. That is natural. But if I gave you everything instantly, you would miss the transformation that happens along the journey. You would receive the blessing but not become the person able to carry it well. So do not despise the process. The process is shaping you for the promise. My child, I also want you to stop measuring progress only by visible results. Not all growth can be seen immediately. You may not realize it, but you are stronger than you were a year ago. You pray differently now. You endure differently now. You discern differently now. You recover from disappointment differently now. The very fact that you are still seeking me after everything you have faced is evidence that my hand has been sustaining you. Do not overlook that. Some battles you survived would have destroyed an earlier version of you. But you endured. Not because you were perfect. Not because you never doubted. But because my grace held you together when your strength ran low. And the same grace that carried you through past battles will carry you into future victories. I need you to understand something else. Breakthrough is not only about changing your circumstances. It is also about changing your perspective. Sometimes the prison door opens. Sometimes the heart inside the prison changes first. Sometimes I remove the mountain. Sometimes I give you strength to climb it. Both are miracles. Do not limit my work to only one kind of answer. There are prayers I answer by changing situations, and there are prayers I answer by transforming the person praying. And often I do both over time. So when you pray, do not pray only, "Lord, change this situation." Pray also, "Lord, shape me through this season so I become who you created me to be." That prayer opens your heart to deeper transformation. My beloved, there is also a danger I must warn you about. When people wait a long time, they sometimes begin to settle for less than what I intended for them. They accept unhealthy relationships because they are lonely. They abandon their calling because progress feels slow. They compromise their values because they are tired of waiting. Do not trade your future for temporary relief. Esau traded his birthright for a single meal because he was hungry in the moment. Do not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Loneliness is temporary. Frustration is temporary. Delay is temporary. But the decisions you make in those moments can shape years of your life. So pause before acting out of desperation. Bring your emotions to me first. Let me steady your heart before you choose your next step. I am not asking you to pretend pain does not exist. I am asking you not to let pain become your guide. Let truth guide you. Let wisdom guide you. Let my voice guide you. And my voice says this tonight: hold on a little longer. The story is still unfolding. The door is not permanently closed. The silence is not the end. The waiting is not pointless. You are standing closer to a turning point than you realize. One conversation can change a direction. One opportunity can change a season. One moment of obedience can open years of blessing. That is why perseverance matters so much. Not because perseverance earns my love, but because perseverance keeps you present for what I am about to do. Imagine a traveler walking through a long tunnel. Halfway through, he grows discouraged because he cannot yet see daylight. If he turns back, he returns to the darkness he already knows. But if he keeps walking, eventually the light appears. Some of you are in the tunnel season. Do not turn back now. Keep walking. Keep praying. Keep preparing. Keep believing. Even small acts of faith matter. The widow's oil seemed small until it multiplied. The boy's lunch seemed small until it fed thousands. Your obedience may feel small, but in my hands, small things become enough. So tomorrow morning, get up again. Pray again. Work again. Love again. Forgive again. Hope again. Not because you feel strong every moment, but because I am faithful every moment. My child, I did not bring you this far to abandon you at the threshold. The same hand that carried you through yesterday will open tomorrow's door. And when the breakthrough comes, you will not say, I made it by my own strength. You will say, God was working even when I could not see it. So rest tonight with this assurance. The delay is not the end of the story. The silence is not the absence of God. The closed door is not the cancellation of your destiny. Keep your heart open. Keep your faith alive. Keep moving forward. Because the door you thought was shut forever may be the very door I am preparing to open at the appointed time. My beloved child, there comes a moment after every long season of waiting when the horizon begins to change. At first, the change is almost impossible to notice. The circumstances may appear the same. The routine may remain unchanged. The challenges may still stand before you. Yet something deeper has shifted. What once felt impossible no longer feels permanent. What once felt hopeless begins to carry a quiet expectation. What once felt like an ending starts revealing itself as a beginning. This is the season I want to speak to you about. The season of new beginnings. For too long you have measured your future by your past. You have looked at old disappointments and assumed tomorrow would be the same. You have replayed failures until they felt more real than my promises. You have allowed old wounds to define new opportunities. But my child, the future I prepared for you was never designed to be a repetition of your worst moments. The enemy wants you trapped in memories. I want you walking toward purpose. The enemy wants you staring at closed doors. I want you noticing the doors beginning to open. The enemy wants you focused on what you lost. I want you focused on what is still possible. There are chapters in life that must end before new chapters can begin. A farmer cannot harvest while still planting. A student cannot graduate while refusing to leave the classroom. A traveler cannot reach a new destination while remaining in the same place. Likewise, there are things in your life that have reached their conclusion. Some relationships, some habits, some fears, some identities you carried for years, some dreams that were never truly mine for you. You may mourn their ending. You may question why they had to leave. But not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes it is pruning. Sometimes it is protection. And sometimes it is simply time for something greater. My beloved, one of the greatest obstacles to a new season is the fear of leaving the old one behind. Even painful situations can become familiar. Even unhealthy patterns can become comfortable. Even limitations can start feeling safe. That is why many people remain where they are. Not because they love their circumstances, but because uncertainty feels frightening. Yet every great journey begins with uncertainty. Abraham left his homeland without knowing every detail of the destination. Peter stepped onto the water without knowing how long he would stand. The disciples followed me before they understood where the path would lead. Faith has never been about having all the answers. Faith is taking the next step even when you do not see the entire road. That is what I am asking from you now. Not perfection, not complete understanding, just the willingness to trust me with the next step. The future is not built 1 year at a time. It is built one faithful step at a time, one decision, one act of courage, one moment of obedience, one day of perseverance. That is how destinies unfold. My child, I know there are areas of your life where you still feel broken. There are memories that still hurt. There are disappointments that still sting. There are prayers you still do not fully understand. But healing is already moving in places you cannot yet see. Not every wound closes overnight. Not every scar disappears immediately. Yet healing does not require perfection to begin. Healing begins when you trust me with the pieces. You do not need to carry every burden alone. You do not need to solve every problem yourself. You do not need to have all the answers before moving forward. You only need to place your hand in mine. I have carried people through deserts. I have carried people through storms. I have carried people through valleys. And I will carry you too. There is something beautiful about a sunrise. Before the sun appears, darkness seems complete. For a moment it appears as though nothing will change. Then suddenly a small light appears on the horizon. The darkness has not fully disappeared, but the light has arrived. That is where many of you are today. The darkness has not completely lifted, but the first light is beginning to appear. Do not ignore those small signs. Do not dismiss those small victories. Do not overlook those small improvements. Small beginnings often lead to extraordinary outcomes. A single conversation can create a lifelong friendship. A single opportunity can launch a career. A single act of faith can transform an entire future. Do not underestimate what I can do through seemingly small things. My beloved child, I also need you to release something that has been weighing heavily upon your heart. Regret. Regret has stolen enough of your energy. Regret has occupied enough of your thoughts. Regret keeps looking backward while destiny calls you forward. Yes, mistakes were made. Yes, opportunities were missed. Yes, there are things you would do differently now. But you cannot rewrite yesterday. You can only live today. And today still carries purpose. Today still carries possibility. Today still carries grace. Do not allow yesterday's failures to become tomorrow's prison. I am greater than your mistakes. I am greater than your failures. I am greater than your regrets. There is no chapter of your story beyond my ability to redeem. Many people believe redemption means erasing the past. But redemption often means transforming the past into something meaningful. The very things that wounded you may one day help someone else heal. The very struggles that tested you may become part of your testimony. The very hardships that nearly broke you may become proof of my faithfulness. Nothing is wasted in my hands. Nothing. My child, the world often tells people to place their confidence in circumstances. Confidence when money is available. Confidence when opportunities are visible. Confidence when everything is going well. But true faith operates differently. Faith believes before seeing. Faith trusts before understanding. Faith walks before certainty arrives. That kind of faith changes people. Because circumstances will always change. But my character never changes. When everything around you feels unstable, remember that I remain constant. When people disappoint you, I remain faithful. When plans fall apart, I remain sovereign. When uncertainty rises, I remain in control. That is why you can move forward without fear. Not because the future is predictable, but because I am already there. I have already seen every tomorrow you worry about. I have already prepared grace for challenges you have not yet faced. I have already made provision for needs you do not yet know you will have. You are walking into the future for the first time. I am not. And because I am already there, you do not need to be afraid. My beloved, lift your eyes. The chapter behind you is not your final chapter. The disappointment was not your final chapter. The loneliness was not your final chapter. The setback was not your final chapter. The failure was not your final chapter. The waiting was not your final chapter. A new season is beginning. A new opportunity is approaching. A new level of growth is emerging. A new testimony is being written. And one day you will look back and realize that what felt like the end was actually the beginning. So walk forward with courage. Walk forward with faith. Walk forward with expectation. Not because life will be perfect. Not because every obstacle will disappear instantly. But because you are not walking alone. I am with you in every step. I am with you in every battle. I am with you in every victory. And the chapter ahead contains blessings, lessons, growth, and purpose that you cannot yet fully imagine. Trust me with your future. Trust me with your dreams. Trust me with your unanswered questions. The road ahead may not be easy, but it is filled with possibility. And the same God who carried you through every previous chapter will faithfully guide you through the next one. Your story is not ending. Your story is beginning again. And the best pages have not yet been written.